So good morning students. So in this video we're going to see about the projection of solids. So let us solve a problem on projection of solids. So let us consider the problem. A hexagonal prism 25 mm sides of base, 50 mm axis length rests on HP on one of its edges of the base. Draw the projection of the prism when the axis is inclined to HP at 45 degree and VP at 30 degree. So whenever they're going to give you any question based on the projection of lamina or projection of solid, first you have to identify the initial position. So initial position is based on whether the solid is resting on a HP or a VP. So for your syllabus, all the problems, it will be resting on HP. So you're going to start your projection from the top view itself. And you have to see only about whether it is resting on an edge of the base or a corner of the base. So in this particular problem, there's clearly specified it is resting on HP on one of its edges of the base. So I have to consider edge perpendicular to your XY line. So let us start with the projection now. So let's take the XY line. So I'm going to take with the XY line, and so I'm going to specify that as X and Y. So it is very important to specify the reference lines properly, and I'm going to specify which quadrant I'm solving the problem. So based on the position of VP and HP. Since I'm dealing with the first angle of projection, I'm going to specify that as VP by HP. Now coming to the problem, so it is an hexagonal prism. So I have to create an hexagon first. So to create the hexagon, you can use the angle method. So I'm going to create an hexagon first. So I can start with here. Since it is an edge condition, so I'm going to create in the normal condition, then I'm going to rotate for the edge condition. So side is given as 25 at 0, 25 at 60, 25 at 120, 25 at 180, 25 at 240, 25 at 300. So it's going to add up the angles. That is 60, 60 plus 60, 120, 120 plus 60, 180. Like this, it's going to add up. The 60 is nothing but the exterior angle of the hexagon. So once you've done this, so this is the corner condition. So I have to rotate this for an edge condition. So I can go for rotate option. So I want to rotate such a way that I want to get edge perpendicular to the line. So I want to move this. So I can go for move option, select that, and I want to place so on the XY line. So when I want to place that, make sure that it will be exactly away from the end of the line, so that you can easily join and do the projection of the front view. So I'll go for naming this. So I want to start from here. So I want to name from A. So now when I want to name in the solid, so always in the top view, the upper face will be visible, whereas the lower face will be invisible. So I want to take A in bracket A1. This I want to consider as B in bracket B1, and this I want to consider as C in bracket C1, D in bracket D1, this E in bracket E1, and the last one F in bracket F1. So once you've done this, project this upwards. Before going for that, you have to identify this access point of the solid. So what I'm going to do now, since it is an even number of sides, I can easily draw the diagonals and I can get that. So when I'm going to draw that, so these are the construction lines. So I'm going to keep the thickness as very small, so that I want to keep. So I want to trim off that lines so that I can get the end point in a proper way. So I want to get that. So this point I want to consider. So this is your axis. So axis, again, this line is the projection line. Keep the line thickness very small. So I want to take that. So this axis point I got to specify as O in bracket O1. So I want to specify that as O in bracket O1. Now I want to project for that. So axis I already taken, and this lines I want to consider. So keep the line thickness very less, so that it will be easy for you people. At last you can directly change that one. So I want to draw the projection. So when I'm going to project from the front view, I can see B, C, D, so which are completely visible for me, or you can say that this face and this rectangular face will be visible, so that I want to take. So now the axis side given is 50, so I want to consider as 50, and similarly this also I want to increase for 50, and axis again I want to increase. So here the axis will not be visible in the front view because the axis is right behind the visible edge. So I can't show the axis on that particular point. So once you got this, so I want to select all these lines, so which are visible clearly. So I want to make the thickness as 0.5 mm. Now I have to go for the naming. So when I go for the naming, make sure which are visible, which are invisible. So I want to go for the naming now. So I want to go for this particular point means now this D1 is visible. So I want to make this one as D1 dash is completely visible, whereas in bracket the upper one is E1 dash is invisible. Similarly, I go for this particular point, D dash is visible, whereas E dash is invisible. When you go for this particular point, so here B1 dash is visible, whereas the upper part is A1 dash is invisible. Similarly, here B dash visible, whereas A dash is invisible. And when you go for this particular point, so C dash is visible, whereas F dash is invisible. And this particular point, C1 dash visible, whereas F1 dash is invisible. So I want to keep that namings as it is. So here I not shown the axis, so I want to go for the axis last. So the axis point, this one is O1 dash, and upper will be O dash. So the axis always will be invisible because it is exactly the center of the solid. So, but no need to show that in a bracket. You can keep that as it is. So now this is the initial position what I got. So just show the dimension to complete of the initial position. So they are given as 25 and this as they are given as 50. Now the next step is they given the axis inclination. So when I go for the axis inclination, that is the second position always will be with respect to HP in the solid. So they given us axis is inclined HP at 45 degrees. So when I go for that, this is the axis point. So when I want to incline this for 45 degree over here, what will happen is this particular point which I have taken as initial position will not be resting on the XY line. So what I want to do is instead of rotating the axis line, I'm going to rotate this edge so that it will be having the same inclination. Since both are parallel, I can rotate instead of this, I can rotate this for 45 degree and it will be 45 degree for the axis as well as. So I want to select this. So I want to select all the four sides and I want to make as a group. So why I want to make as a group is it will be easy for me to do the rotation or copy or move the solid in a single element. So what will happen if you are not making that as a group, every time you have to select individually, then make as a complete object and you have to move. But once you've done a group, so easily I can move this object. So I'll go for that. So I want to go for move option. I want to select this and I want to place away from this one. So here I not done the copy, so I'll just select that. Go for move option with a copy. I want to select this and I want to place over here. So it has been done. So I have to do the naming. So I can go for naming afterwards. So just I want to keep this as it is. So I have to rotate this. So I can go for rotate option. Select this object. So this and this point has to go for rotation angle. So that's why I go for the position angle as 45 degrees. So it has been directly rotated. So it will be very easy for us to rotate when it is a group. So you have to do the naming. So you can go for again move option. Click on the namings and place the exact naming where you need. So it will be easy for you people to do the naming in this manner. So if you are using the version 19 software also, the same way you can do, only the position of the tools will be changing, but the tool option will be the same. You want to get the same tool options in the version 19 also. The version I am using is 2021 version. So both the version you can use. So but here the version 2021 will give more options for you people to solve the problems easily. So I want to do the namings. Once I done the naming, I should show the angle between. So I want to select the axis and this. So this angle is 45 degrees. So one more thing, when you are showing the angle over here, always show the angle to the given position, that is the axis. So I want to show that as 45 degree over here. The next thing is, so when I go for the viewing the second position, I want to observe from the top. So when I want to observe from the top, the upper face is completely visible. So what I want to do now, the upper face I want to draw first. So this is having D and E. and this is having C and F, and this is having B and A. So let me zoom that so that it will be easy for you people to understand. Okay, so now, so this I have drawn there. So I want to take from this side. So I want to start from here. So A is in the first line. I want to draw till A. Next B, it is again in the first line. I want to draw till B. Next C, it is in the second line. C. Next, when I go for D, it is in the last line. I want to go for D. Again E, I go for E, and I then go for F. So I'm going to take F over here. So once you've done this, just remove the additional things what we have. So I'll go for trimming that. So I'll go for trimming that. So go for trim option and trim off the additional. So I'll go for the positions I got, all the 6 points I got. So I'm going to join that C point, D. So E is already here. This I want to join. So now this is the one I got. So I want to remove these lines. So these lines I want to remove because it will be easy for me to observe the things when less lines are there available for me to view. So I want to remove this once I got all the 6 sides. So I want to remove this lines, and this line also I want to remove as it is. So these 6 sides are clearly visible for me. So I want to make that as 0.5, and I want to do the naming also. So I'll go for the naming. So I want to get this one as A1, and this is your B1, C1, D1, E1, and this is your F1. So I got the complete face which is completely visible now. So I'll go for the next face which is partially visible. So I have to create the visible and invisible things for the second face. That is nothing but the bottom face. So I'm going to take this line. So D and E1, I'm going to draw the line. Similar, I'll go for this projection where I'm going to get a C1 and F1. And this projection I'm going to take, that is B and A, I'm going to draw. So I'm going to start from here. So this is your A, first line. B, again it is in the first line. So I'll go for C, it is in the second. Again D, it is in the last. Again E, it is in the last. And I go for F, it is in the second. So I'm going to join the lines again. So 1, 2, 3, this one 4, 5, 6, again the 1. So I got all the 6 sides again. So you can keep that 6 sides, and remaining lines just I want to remove as I done in the previous. So this I removed, but you have to draw this again back onto the last position. So I'll go for naming this point. So this point is A, this is B, C, D, and this is E, and this is your. So now this face is partially visible, but we know that the faces will be connected in a similar manner. So I want to join that. So when I want to join, this face is completely visible. Whichever things it goes inside this, it will be invisible. For easy understanding, what I want to do is I want to just fill this part with the shading. So I shaded these things. So once I done that, so whatever things which is going inside that will be invisible. Let me reduce that. So let me reduce the spacing. So now, whatever the line which passes through this face will be invisible. So let us see how exactly it goes. So now from A1 to A I have to connect. So it is going outside. Again B1 to B I have to connect, which is going outside. Similarly F1 to F I have to connect, which is going outside. C1 to D I have to connect, which is going outside. So what are the lines I drawn now? 1, 2, 3, and 4, which is going outside, which are visible. So I want to change the thickness to 0.5. And for that, which are the lines connected? This 3. Again, I want to make as 0.5. Now, when I want to join E1 to E, this line, similarly D1 to D, this line. So these two lines are going inside this face. So that I want to make as dotted line, which are invisible. And for that, which are the lines connected? 1, 2, and 3. So I want to make as dotted. So once you dot the dotted lines, select all 5 dotted lines and I want to make the thickness as 0.5. Now you can remove the shaded option. So now you can see clearly how exactly the solid looks in the second position. Now the missing thing is the axis. I want to take the axis now. So axis line I want to draw. Similarly from here I want to draw the axis line. So axis is at the center. So I want to take the axis. So I want to go for trim option. I want to trim off this extra lines which I drawn now. So this is your axis line. So I want to show that as axis. And I can give the thickness as 0.5 or I can leave as it is with the lesser thickness also. So this is the second position view what I going to get. So I have not named the axis point. So this point is O and this is sorry O1 and this is O. So I done the naming in the wrong way. So this is your A1, that is the parts I want to get. So just I'm changing the dimensions, sorry naming, so which I done in wrong position. So just this will be your C1. So this is the position I'm going to get now. So once I got this position, so what I have to do is I have to go for the next position where I want to rotate the axis for the given angle. So what is the angle given? So the angle given, let me fit the screen. So the angle given, the axis is inclined to VP at an angle of 30 degrees. So I have to incline the angle to 30 degrees for the axis in the VP. But what will happen is the axis I they specified is 50, where I want to get a second position dimension of the axis as 35.36. So there's a change in the length. So since there is a change in the length of the axis, I should find the beta angle. That is nothing but the apparent inclination. So are you going to find that? Let me show that. We zoom in again. So now to get the apparent inclination, first you have to go for the true inclination. I'm going to start from somewhere over here. So the actual inclination they given is 45. So 30 degrees. So I'll go for that. So I'm going to go for 30 degrees. So select the line. I want to select this position and I'll go for 30 degrees. So minus, or sorry, plus I want to go for 30. So I want to get the angle line. So now this is the line I've taken. So now I'll go for arc by center point option. So I'll go for arc by center point. So I want to select this particular point. So I'm going to take the 50, that is the actual length of the axis, and I'm going to cut the locus. So go for trim and trim off extra. So where I got the condition, there I want to draw a locus line. So this dimension, how much I've taken is, so this I've taken as 50, which is the actual. Now I'll go for again arc by center point. From the same point, I want to consider the second position dimension, that is how much, 35.36. So I want to select that. So 35.36 and I want to draw the arc. So it's going to cut the locus again somewhere. So that particular point I'm going to trim. And this dimension what I've taken is 35.36, which is in the second position. So this particular point is nothing but your O, and this particular point is nothing but O1. So once I got this, so what I have to do is I have to make this completely over here. So before that, let me show what is the beta angle. So I want to join this to one. So I'll go for angle between now this and this. If I take, so this is the angle given as 30, so which is the actual angle. So when I go for this and this, so what is the apparent inclination is 45 degrees. So 45 degrees is your beta angle, whereas the true inclination what they given is 30 degrees. So this is the thing I want to do now. So once you've done this, this is your axis. So let me show that as the axis, and I want to increase the thickness as 0.5. Now I have to replicate this completely on this sketch. So you can do that in a sketchbook as well as in the system. In system it will be very easy. So what I have to do is I have to select this everything. So I'm going to select everything over here and I'm going to make it as a group. So you can consider the naming as well as the lines in the group, or you can do only the view, then you can make the naming. So I just for your time sake, just I want to select everything as a group. I want to make as a group right click. So everything you made as a group now. So I'll go for moving this first. So I want to select O point. So O I want to place over here. Just observe. So O point I'm placing exactly in that particular position. Now I'll go for rotate. So this O point and this I want to rotate to the exact position what I given. You can see there. So completely I'm rotated the given position into the angle. So now let me zoom that particular area again. So this is the position I'm going to get now. So there are two lines. So this line is indicating the actual length of actual angle and actual length of axis, where here it is actual angle, sorry, apparent angle and apparent length of the axis. Now I'll go for projecting this upwards. So when I want to project this upwards, first the base is completely visible. So let me take the base first. So the base points are this one. So B1, A1, and this is your C1 and F1, and this D1, E1 exactly on the X1 line. So I'm going to start with A. So A is on the upper line. So I'm going to take this point. Next B, it is on the upper point. So let me keep that. C, it is on the second. So I'll go for C. Next D, it is on the XY line D. Next E, again it is on the XY line E, and F is in the second line. So I got the 6 points. So I'm going to start with A to B, B to C, C to D, D to E, E to F, and F to A. So I'm going to make that as completely visible because it is the bottom base which is near to the observer, which is completely visible. So I'm going to take as point. So I'm going to remove these lines. Again, what I did in the second position, same way. So whenever there are less lines to view, so easily I can solve the problem. So I got this naming. So I'm going to start naming this one. So A1 dash, and this is your B1 dash, C1 dash, and this is your D1 dash, and this point is E1 dash, and this is your F1 dash. So this face is completely visible. That's why I've taken as 0.5 and visible edge. So I want to go for the second face, which is away from the observer when you're going to observe from the frame. So I'm going to take that. So this is the lines I'm going to get. Now I'm going to start from A. So A point, if it is on the last line, I'm going to take as A. Next B, again it is in the last, I'm going to take as B. Next C, which is in the second. D, which is on the first. Again E, which is on the first. And F, which is on the second. So they are also just I'm going to join the lines, but I won't make this thick lines. Just for reference, I'm going to create the face. So this is another face I'm going to get now. So once I create the face, I'm going to remove the lines, so which are taken for the projection. So this is the two faces, so which are very similar and same dimensions will be there. So I want to take this as A. This is your B, C, D, and this is your E, and this is your F. So I got two faces. So these two faces has to be connected. Similarly, as I done in the second position, just I'm going to make this as completely visible. So whatever things which goes inside this face will be invisible. So I want to join from A1 to A, which is outside, B1 to B, which is outside, C1 to C, which is going outside, D1 to D, which is going outside. But when I want to join F to F1, so as you can see there, this line is going inside. Similarly, E to E1, which is going again inside. So you can see there, this line and this line which is going inside. So I'm going to make as dotted. Similarly for that, which are the lines connected? 1, 2, and 3. So that I'm going to make as dotted. Now all the other lines I'm going to select, which are visible. So I'm going to select that and make it as 0.5. So I'm going to remove this. So this is how exactly it's going to look in the final condition. But one thing I left out is the axis. So I'm going to take the axis O. So I'm going to take axis O and O1. Again from here I'm going to take as O axis. This is your axis O and this is your axis O1. And I want to join. So once you join that, you select that line, make as axis line, and you can show the thickness as 0.5 mm and go for the naming. So I'm going to name this as O dash and this is O1 dash. So you can remove these lines. So at last, what you can do is, what are the projection line I removed only for your understanding sake, so that you can easily do the problem. Please, you have to draw that back again to before submitting your answer sheet. So this is how you can solve the problem for the given condition. So next video, you're going to see some other problems based on pentagon and hexagon. Thank you guys.